Oh, look at that. That is the Hopewell Rocks, and that is the Bay of Fundy. We are walking on the ocean floor, so gotta make sure I don't trip.
Good morning.
Hey everyone, welcome to Tigner Adventures. We are doing something different. We are at the Bay of Fundy. So we're still in Nova Scotia for just a little bit, but we're going to be exploring the Bay of Fundy on this video series today. And the place that we're at right now is it's called Truro, T-R-U-R-O, Truro, something like that. Anyway, we've stopped here because they have what they call a tidal bore, and that's when this freshwater river that's behind us flows opposite of the normal direction. So water normally flows down, but when the tide comes in for the Bay of Fundy, the water comes flowing back up the river, and so it's pretty impressive. So we're going to try to videotape that for you today. We have one other spot we're going to look at tomorrow for a tidal bore, and we're going to do a bunch more things around the Bay of Fundy. But the big thing about Bay of Fundy is the tidal, when the tide comes in, the tide difference is almost 50 feet, or in some places about 54 feet. So it's the highest tide change in the world happens here at the Bay of Fundy. So when the tide's out, we'll be actually able to walk out onto the ocean floor and walk around. So anyway, those are the things that we're doing in this video. Look at that over there. You can see the wave coming up. So right out there in the middle where those birds are flying away, you see the wave flowing this direction, which is definitely weird. So it is now, the river is now flowing upriver. So, and depending on the winds and all that stuff, you know, the tidal bore can be smaller or bigger. It just depends on a lot of different things with Mother Nature. So, yeah. But you can see it is just moving its way along. So now the big thing is that it'll just keep rising until it gets up to where that grass is over there. So here, it's not going to raise that high, but that is pretty impressive. Look at that. Not something you see every day, river running backwards. So it's definitely
About 2 or 3 feet on
it. Definitely noticeable that the river is now flowing this direction when it should be flowing the other direction. So there are a lot of people here that's watching this tidal bore. So, you know, it's pretty neat, you know, watching Mother Nature, how things kind of change and work within Mother Nature. You just don't expect some of these things, so it's kind of fun to see them. This is the Interpretive Center. Get some information about the tidal bore. They've got a really nice display here talking about how the tidal bore works and just a little bit of information about it. So it's pretty cool, and it's free.
We do have 2 excellent videos if you'd like to watch them.
Oh, do you?
Explain all about the science behind it.
Twice a day, every day, the Bay of Fundy fills to the brim with ocean water. This huge influx of perhaps 100 billion tons of water is roughly equal in volume to the daily discharge of all of the world's rivers. It produces some of the highest recorded tides in the world. Tides are caused by the gravitational force of the moon, and to a lesser extent the sun, acting upon the earth and its oceans. The gravitational force of the moon pulls the ocean towards it, creating a bulge or high tide in the water. At the same time, the gravitational force on the opposite side of the Earth is less, allowing the ocean on that side to bulge outward as well. Due to the Earth's rotation, a fixed point on its surface passes through both bulges within a 24-hour period. The bulges create the twice daily high tides, with low tides occurring between the bulges. A tidal bore is created when the leading edge of the tide forms into a wave or wall of water. As the river becomes shallower, the speed of the incoming water is slowed by friction with the river bottom. Water flooding from behind is moving more quickly and surges over the top of the leading edge, creating a wave which moves upstream.
Okay, you can see the tide is up over the mud flat that was out there. And I was talking to the lady from the visitor center, and the tide isn't going to be as high today. It's actually down south of here. It was only like 38 feet today. And so sometimes, depending on the height of the tide down further in the bay, sometimes there may not even be a ripple up here. And sometimes if it gets up to the 55 feet, which is I think the record there, then the water will be clear up into the grass over there. And so it just starts to look like one big river, but it hides that whole thing. That's how high it will go up to. But it is still flowing from left to right. So, and we are about 10 minutes from high tide right now. So this is getting close to being the end, and then it will start going back the other way. We are in Moncton, New Brunswick, so we've just moved up from Nova Scotia. This is another inlet from the Bay of Fundy, and this is the tidal bore again, coming in this morning.
Wow, you can hear this one really well.
Yeah, it's a lot taller, a lot higher.
That's a lot more force.
Yeah, a lot more force. There it goes, just like that.
Every day.
Does that 2 times a day. So that's pretty fun to see. You can go on the internet and say, you know, what time is the tidal bore going to be at whatever location you're looking at, and it gives you a time. So it said 9:14. Let's see how close it is. It's 8:59. Good thing.
15 minutes.
Yeah, it was about 15 minutes early, so it's good that we came. We walked right up, and there it was. So good thing we weren't much later, but that's pretty cool. They do have a nice little discovery center here that talks about the rocks and the bay and the moon, and wow, there's just so much.
Look at that. Look at that.
Look at that whale's tail. Woohoo! Look at this. There's a moose. It's a Canada moose. We've been all over Canada so far, and we have never, ever seen a moose yet. So they have very nice signs telling us where to go, how to get down to the ocean floor, and really good trails. If you can walk good, then it's better to hike down to the floor than to take the shuttle, but they do offer the shuttle. Look at this nice forest, though, that we're walking through. It smells so good and fresh.
Yeah, it's in the shade.
Yeah. You pay for the shuttle, it brings you down right over there, and then you can come into this area. So this is what we've hiked down to, and then we access the ocean floor this direction over here. And there it is.
There it
now,
is.
in the US we call that a beach, but here they call that the ocean floor, which it's the same thing. But look at those different formations we'll be able to see, because the tide, I mean, remember the tide is really high here. So right now is low tide. They say the best time to visit this is during low tide. All right, so that is where you can see the normal level of the bay. Here would be the bottom of those, so it's pretty close to the top of those arches there when the bay is full. And that's just amazing how much water comes into here. Oh, look at that. That is the Hopewell Rocks, and that is the Bay of Fundy. And you can see we are walking on the ocean floor. So gotta make sure I don't trip. But if you look back up behind me, can see how far up or how low I am compared to up there, hopefully. It's probably a little deceiving. The camera, it's hard to see that in the camera. But I'm right down by the water, so the water's got to rise a long ways to get up to that point. So tides can go up anywhere from 35 to 54 feet within the Bay of Fundy. And that may not be right here at this specific point, but different places it can rise that high, which is pretty interesting. Maybe this angle can give you a little bit better idea how far down the water is to the upper area of the rocks there. It does drop off quite quickly. So we still have 2 more hours before low tide, and they say the best time to actually come out here and walk on the ocean floor is before low tide. So basically what's happening is the water's retreating because when it switches around, the tide rises pretty darn quick and people get stranded very easily. So they pretty much tell us to beware of when the tide's going to come back in, just because it does come up so fast. So this is looking the other direction. This is looking out towards the ocean actually. And you can see there's a lot of people out here walking around, and it does drop off quite quickly. So at this point, the tide is out about 100 yards, and the representative here said that the low tide will be out about 200 yards, or that's the lowest it'll ever go out is 200 yards. Today probably won't go quite that far, but the hour that's left, it will drop considerably in that next hour. But we're not going to wait. We're going to go on to the national park and check out the national park on the Bay of Fundy. Here's a picture showing what low tide looks like, and then here's one showing what high tide looks like. We have arrived at the Bay of Fundy Visitor Center. This is the national park, and we're going to check out this visitor center, and that is the Bay of Fundy out there. All right, we're going to go into the visitor center here. Check it out. Wow. We've got a little store over here on the right, and some information out in here. So the Bay of Fundy National Park doesn't only cover the Bay of Fundy itself, but also all the forest along the coast and things. So there's lots of hikes that you can go on, besides just going out to the water or watching the tides come in and out. But they do have the times for low tide and high tide specified or shown in the visitor center. And right now, again, we're at low tide. So this is what low tide looks like here. That's a long ways to walk to get out to the water. All right, well, that's the Bay of Fundy. So we've got to see tidal bores, we've got to see some information about the bay itself. We got to even see a couple extra little quirkies along the way that we found. So that was fun, but the Bay of Fundy is right behind us there. Yeah. That is low tide, so that would all be filled in with water during high tide. So it's been a lot of fun, yeah. Wow. And I'll put a couple different tide things in here just to show you the differences, different points around the bay area itself. It's a pretty good size area. So anyway, thanks for coming along today and yesterday, and it's been a lot of fun. So we're moving our way on up through New Brunswick up towards Quebec. So you'll catch us on the next videos as we go up that direction.
Be French.
It'd be nice if we learned French.
Yeah, not many people speak English around here.
Yeah, that's more and more, the closer we get to Quebec, more and more people seem to speak French. So less people speaking English. So anyway, that's how it will be for the next few days anyway, or another week. So you guys take care. Thanks for coming along, and we'll just catch you on our next video, or maybe down the road somewhere. See ya.